Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you to our great leader, Council President Katz, my good friend. We often cry together. We were doing it yesterday when we talk about how much we care about this county and our history here. And also want to thank the CAO, Klein, for being here on behalf of the county executive. It's good to see all of you as our great staff that are helping to make this county and this state and this nation better. It was mentioned that it's so important that we remember where we've come from and where we're going. And I want to thank the committee for keeping this alive and really being intentional about this theme in an important year. 150 years since the 15th Amendment, 100 years since the 19th Amendment, granting women the right to vote, 55 years since the Voting Rights Act, which we know several years ago was gutted in the Shelby v. Holder case. In the Section 5, the pre-clearance condition, a very important part of that law, still has not been restored. That would help places that have had history of discrimination against voting rights to have to pre-clear their procedures. So we know that we have a long ways to go. Despite those 150-year anniversaries, that's a great celebration. I was reading earlier this week in Baltimore, when that 15th Amendment was passed, we had over 10,000 former military folks, African Americans, others in the streets doing a parade celebrating the passage of the 15th Amendment. And here we are 150 years later. Just last week, the Ninth Circuit struck down an Arizona law that would have criminalized you delivering an early ballot to a neighbor who was elderly or infirmed. Criminalized. And in that decision, the Ninth Circuit cited the 15th Amendment almost 20 times. So you can draw those lines to that case last week in the Ninth Circuit. The 15th Amendment, which was passed 150 years ago, is needing to be cited almost 20 times to strike down a clearly discriminatory law. We understand where we are as far as fighting for our rights to vote. I mentioned that Baltimore parade. You had that beautiful period of Reconstruction where we had over 20 African-American men, over 16 African-American men rather, serve in Congress, and over 2,000 black local elected officials in that Reconstruction period. But by 1901, between 1901 and 1928, there was not one black person in Congress. All that had been erased. And so it's a reminder that while we have in the story of America, we make progress, it's a reminder that that progress has to be fought for and diligently secured year after year after year. So I just wanted to come and say that you are part of that. We are part of that. I stand here today as only the second African American ever elected to the county council county-wide, the first being Ike Leggett. And while I'm proud of that, I wish it wasn't the case. There's only ever been 5 county council members that were black at all, 4 elected and 1 appointed, in a county where we've been here for hundreds of years. So we have work to do. I'm proud to work with my colleagues. We just passed the landmark racial equity bill last year, where we're going to be intentional about looking about everything we do through a racial equity and social justice lens. And I think that's going to have a big impact going forward. So I'm proud to serve you in this county and look forward to working with you on all the work ahead. Happy Black History Month. Thank you.